So the headline today is that Mueller has made two big conclusions out of his report. Number one is that he did not establish that there was a criminal conspiracy between the Russian government and the Trump campaign to interfere in the 2016 election. The other is that he did not exonerate the president on the question of whether he obstructed justice or tried to influence the Russia probe and crossed over into criminal conduct. Now, it's a 448-page report, and portions of it are redacted. We're still kind of gathering the information right now to determine how much has been withheld. We know that the Attorney General said that he withheld ongoing information about ongoing investigations, grand jury material, information that could be derogatory about uncharged people, and other information that he saw fit to withhold. So in particular on the question of obstruction, Mueller examined 10 different episodes in which he was looking at the president's conduct to determine whether or not it crossed over into criminal conduct. Now again, he did not determine, didn't answer the question of whether it was criminal obstruction, but some of those episodes show that Trump made several attempts to either seize control of the investigation, try to have special counsel Robert Mueller removed from the probe, or that his attorneys were trying to gather information about what people who were cooperating with the investigation were telling prosecutors. In particular, there's one episode that's related involving a personal attorney of his who is trying to gather information from former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Now, this is going back in time a little bit, but Flynn had just cut off contact with the Trump legal team ahead of his pleading guilty and cooperating with the government. The report says that one of Trump's attorneys then reached out and tried to remind them that the president had warm feelings for Flynn and asked him to see if there was any information that he knew that could implicate the president. Whenever Flynn's attorneys rebuffed that effort, the attorney then said that he would remind the president that Flynn's actions showed hostility towards the president. So what they're showing is that they're painting a picture here of a president and people around him who are trying to shape and gather information about the probe, but also to, in some cases, take control of it and influence the direction of where it's going. The report also details what happened in the months right after Special Counsel Robert Mueller was appointed in May of 2017. In particular, it shows that the president ordered his then White House counsel, Don McGahn, to try to have Special Counsel Robert Mueller removed. Now, McGahn rebuffed this effort, but it shows how the president, and the report quotes him, saw the probe as a possible end to his presidency and something that would threaten his power. And at that point was trying to take efforts to take control of the investigation by having Mueller removed. I think the level of detail in the report is one of the most important takeaways from it. The first volume that deals with Russian election interference and the actions of the Trump campaign is a couple of hundred pages long and goes into exhaustive detail about the information that they've gathered, interviewing 500 witnesses, issuing more than 2,800 subpoenas, and putting together probably the most complete picture of what happened during the 2016 election involving the Trump campaign and Russia. The other thing is how much the special counsel grappled with whether or not the president had crossed over the legal line into criminal obstruction. As you see in the second volume of the report, he details these 10 episodes and also then discusses, what the law is and how it applies to a president, ultimately deciding that they could not answer the question because there are difficult legal issues at play, and leaving that kind of open. As we know, after the report was turned in weeks ago, the Attorney General then stepped in and decided that the president had not obstructed justice. And today you saw him reflect that in his press conference announcing the report. Immediately after the report was announced by the Attorney General this morning, Trump and his legal team claimed victory, with Trump kind of touting his usual refrain of no collusion, that there was no obstruction, and saying it was a total exoneration. Now, as we know, the report did not exonerate him on the question of obstruction of justice, but his legal team did issue a statement saying that they see this as a victory, and that what it appears is now going to be the president's strategy is to go and try to turn the tables and attack the investigators who carried out the Russia investigation. Also, what we will have after this report drops is that Barr will go to the Hill to testify. Democrats are also calling for him to release the full report and say that they may go to court for that. Barr is scheduled to testify in early May. We also have seen Democrats say that they want to hear from Special Counsel Robert Mueller himself, and Barr said that he wouldn't object to that during his press conference.